Hello and welcome to a very exciting recovery special. Here on their Australian leg of their Reload tour, would you please join me in making a hell of a lot of noise for Metallica?
Cool. What's up?
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which shadows all.
Psych.
People that do Monty Rantros.
Yeah! And the Metallica fans love it! Ah! Ah! The crowd goes wild.
Thanks, Dylan. How you going, guys?
We're good.
Welcome
Shut up. Shut up.
to... Lars is in charge.
Okay.
How are you, boys, anyway?
Well, good.
Are you well?
Good to
Welcome
be
to
here, man.
Australia.
Thank you very much.
And just for a start, no, you can't look at them
Okay.
yet. How did Unforgiven 2 come about? Considering it's your latest single out at the moment.
The song or the video?
The song.
Basically, it was just us wanting to try and do something we'd never done, which is continue a story. There was never like the first part of it wasn't complete or anything. It was just the music. When me and James were writing, it kind of reminded us of the first song, and we thought it would be kind of fun to try and just continue the story with the same characters. And that's pretty much what we did.
How annoying was it for when Load came out and the press basically concentrated on the way that you guys looked rather than the sound of the record?
How annoying was it?
Yeah.
Just kind of take it with
Take
a
it,
grain
yeah,
like everything else.
yeah.
It's not really that big
It's,
of a deal. We know what we did. We felt right about it, so that's all that really matters.
Okay.
And you know, every time we put a record out, there's always some issues. And
You're never
just
going to
kinda-
please everybody all the time anyway, so what's the use? You know, I mean, just do what we do.
There's a fair bit of blues on both Load and Reload. What sort of influences came, you know, from a fair way back for that?
It came from different places because everybody's got such diverse listening now away from each other, you know. And so I guess it was more of a thing that the influences maybe were more blatantly presented, I guess, or something. You could hear a little bit more of it, you know, than just maybe copping riffs from here and there from old metal bands or things like that. Maybe things were coming up from James's Skinner listening, or, you know, southern
Definitely
flavored
some
kind of
Skynyrd.
things, or my blues influence, you know, Muddy Waters, whatever, those kind of things, just basic bass groove. And I think same with Lars and some of that older blues stuff
Who would you
too.
have listened to, Lars?
I would say, like Jason's saying, there's some Skinner stuff, some ZZ Top, a lot of the old Purple stuff is also really, the Zeppelin and the Purple stuff is really, you know, heavily blues based also, probably more so than the Sabbath of those bands from back then. But you know, some definitely Skinner and ZZ Top heavily.
With Low Man's Lyric, that was the first time you actually had other musicians in the studio. What was that like? And especially with playing, you know, different instruments, hurdy-gurdy and some violin in there.
There's been extra players on Metallica
Yeah,
records
we've just
before,
never copped
different.
to
Yeah, actually, it's the same guys, for the percussion, those kind of things. And there have been like symphony orchestras and so forth. But the hurdy-gurdy guy, that was something special. One guy that happened to be from San Francisco, and I guess James had the initial idea that to have more of a minstrel jam kind of vibe to it. And it's the only song on Reload that we actually sat all together in a room in a circle like this. With Lars had like a drum set with lots of tambourines and shakers and all kind of different stuff to hit. James had a guitar, like $35 Sears guitar, you know, and I had cheap bass, and Kirk had some other different kind of instrument to make a very different twangy kind of weirdness to it, you know, and everybody with that vibe sitting in a circle. So that's where that came from, and it's the only one that was presented in that way. You know, it felt real good.
What's the chance of you guys experimenting a bit more with different instruments, say,
Good
in the
chance.
next?
Great chances.
Yeah.
It's, I mean,
Endless.
Absolutely, limitless.
Yeah. You recently played at the Neil Young Bridge School benefit, and that was acoustic, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
First
What was
time.
that like?
It was, I think, surprisingly a lot of fun. We kind of agreed to do it without really thinking much about it, and all of a sudden, like a week out, it's like, are we actually really going to sit down and play a bunch of acoustic songs? And then we got the balls up to go through with it, and we sat down the night before at rehearsal, and there was no plan. It was just, we sat down and just kind of started jamming. I think the difference between what we do acoustically and a lot of other bands is that they just take their songs and just play them on acoustic instruments. What we try and do is reinvent them a little bit, rearrange them, try and come up with different parts and stuff like that. When you've been playing songs from like Kill 'Em All for 15 years and so on, it's really fun to get a chance to, you know, redo them a little bit. And I think that's mainly what the acoustic thing is for us. It's just revisiting some of that stuff and sort of adding a different twist to it.
It brings a cool freshness to it for us, you know, definitely. And also the way that, I guess we're not really, you know, we only spend a little time on acoustic instruments and a lot of time on electric instruments. So when we play acoustic, it's really got that punk aspect to it still, because we really are not so great. So we just kind of, you know, do our thing that we know best on those things and make it sound a little bit, sound like Metallica still, you know?
Yeah, because when you're playing acoustic instruments, it's when it really shows whether you're good musicians and good bands as well, isn't it?
Well, let's put it this way. We make up for it in lack of ability with enthusiasm.
That's right. That's where it's at. I mean, that's where it's at, really, you know, because that's the beauty of it, right, is that aspect that it's not perfect, and that's, I mean...
You know what, it's a lot of fun, and we've been actually starting on this Australian tour, incorporating a couple of songs like that into the main 2.5-hour set, and it's kind of fun.
It's been
And
accepted.
I think,
I couldn't believe it. Really.
I think the kids can, even if they can't necessarily relate to the concept of it, they can relate to the fact that we really get off on it. And the fact that we get off on it makes them get off on it, hopefully.
Well, a couple of years down the track now from Load, and you're saying that you're saying that the fans are being more accepting. Do you think that's because you've brought a record out like Load and Reload? That they are now more accepting of what you're doing?
Saying that we helped open them up a little bit,
Yeah.
maybe.
I think what happens is that anytime a band like us shake the foundations up a little bit, there's always a lot of people who are initially kind of unsure about what that really means in the long run. And I think what happened when Load came out, there were some people that seriously thought that we'd lost our minds. And then when we came and toured all over the place for a year and a half, and they could see that once we got up and played in front of them, that real strength of what Metallica always had been was still there, just updated or, you know, just going through another metamorphosis, but still was really there at heart. I think a lot of people really, I think, found new respect for it, and I think that's continuously happening as we go and play.
A while. That's the thing. It might have taken them a while for it to set in, but I think the respect is still there because of our taking chances, and people look to Metallica to do that kind of thing and always be breaking down, you know, new barriers and that kind of stuff. And that's, I mean, we look to us more than anybody else to do that same thing. So.
Okay. One last question, Jason. You're the only one that's not married now. So do you get all the
borrow
girls?
the ring?
No, it's okay. Pardon?
Do you get all the girls?
Do I get all of them?
Anybody? Jason's looking for a date.
Yeah, the Lars. Yeah, I just kind of get all. Yeah, I get all the girls. Yeah, you bet.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Go.
All right.